The Fox and the Crow. Once upon a time, in a peaceful meadow, there lived a clever fox who was known for his quick wit and sharp mind. He roamed the forests, always on the lookout for an opportunity to find food. One day, as the fox was wandering near a large oak tree, he spotted a crow sitting on a branch above, holding a piece of delicious-looking cheese in her beak. The fox's mouth watered at the sight of the cheese. He had not eaten in a while and was feeling quite hungry. He knew that if he could convince the crow to drop the cheese, he could claim it for himself. But the fox was not one to rush into things. He was crafty and knew that he had to use his wits to get what he wanted. The fox stood at the base of the tree and looked up at the crow with a charming smile. "Good day, my fine feathered friend," he called out. "You look so radiant today. Your feathers are shining like the golden sun, and your eyes sparkle like two precious gems. Truly, you are the most beautiful crow I have ever seen." The crow, who had always been proud of her appearance, puffed out her chest at the fox's flattering words. "Why, thank you, Fox," she said, preening herself. "I do take great care in keeping my feathers in good condition. I am quite proud of how I look." The fox, seeing that the crow had taken the bait, continued with his flattery. "And I must say I have heard many great things about your voice. The other animals in the forest speak of your singing as the most beautiful in all the land. I would love to hear you sing if you don't mind." The crow, even more flattered, couldn't resist the temptation to show off her talent. She loved singing and she loved the idea of impressing the fox. "Oh, I would be delighted," she said, puffing up even more. "You're too kind, Fox. I shall sing for you right now." With that, the crow opened her beak and began to sing a beautiful song. Her voice echoed through the meadow, sweet and clear, as the fox listened intently. He had to admit that she did have a lovely voice, but he wasn't interested in her singing for long. What he really wanted was the cheese. As the crow sang, she tilted her head back, unknowingly raising the cheese higher in the air. The fox, who was quick to seize an opportunity, continued to flatter her. "Oh, what a marvelous voice you have, my dear friend," he exclaimed. "You are truly the queen of all birds. I can only imagine how much the other creatures admire your talents." The crow, flattered beyond measure, could hardly contain her pride. She thought to herself, "If the fox thinks so highly of me, I must be as great as he says." Then the fox delivered his final line, a clever trick hidden in his words. "If only I could see how beautifully you sing while holding that fine piece of cheese in your beak. I am certain your performance would be even more spectacular if you shared your song with all the creatures of the forest. Perhaps, if you hold the cheese in your mouth and sing, you could show everyone your true skill." The crow, blinded by her pride, thought this was a brilliant idea. She imagined how impressed all the animals would be if she could sing and hold the cheese at the same time. She didn't think for a moment about the possibility that the fox might have an ulterior motive. With a smile, she dropped the cheese into her mouth and began to sing again, holding the cheese tightly in her beak. The moment she opened her mouth to sing, the fox leapt forward, quicker than a flash, and snatched the cheese from her beak. "Ha!" the fox exclaimed, holding the cheese triumphantly in his mouth. "Thank you, dear crow, for such a lovely performance. I must admit, you do have a fine voice, but your cheese is even more delightful." The crow, realizing that she had been tricked, squawked in surprise. "Fox, you deceived me. I trusted your flattering words, and now you have taken my cheese." The fox, savoring the taste of the cheese, simply shrugged and gave the crow a sly smile. "Ah, my dear crow, you should have known better than to trust a fox's flattery. I didn't ask for your song. I wanted the cheese all along. You see, the problem with pride is that it makes us blind to the truth." The crow, feeling foolish and embarrassed, sat silently on the branch, watching the fox walk away, savoring the cheese he had stolen from her. She realized that she had been too eager to believe in empty praise, and had let her vanity cloud her judgment. From that day on, the crow learned to be more cautious about who she trusted, and not to let flattery make her lose sight of what was truly important. As for the fox, he continued to use his cleverness to get what he wanted, but the other animals in the forest soon learned to be wary of his tricks. The end. Moral of the story: The Fox and the Crow teaches us a valuable lesson about the dangers of pride and flattery. When we become too proud of our abilities or appearance, we may become vulnerable to deception. It's important to be cautious and not let our vanity cloud our judgment. Clever words and compliments can sometimes hide a hidden agenda, so we must be wise enough to recognize when we are being tricked.